Yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah, 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 no, 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 no. Melanated minds with the crown restored. Asiatic truth that we cannot ignore. Honor to noble Drew Ali, we rise. Nationality reclaimed, open your eyes. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, the spark. No more strangers walking in the dark. Research first, let the facts ignite. Real Moors talk every week, truth over hype. This is knowledge, this is heritage, this is consciousness. Welcome to Real Moors Talk with your hostess, Prime Minister Durriyyah Bey. Yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah, no, 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 no. Shadow hour. 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 You are now tuned into Real Moors Talk. Melanated glow, crown back on the throne. Asiatic spirit, yes, we finally home. Honor noble Drew Ali, we proclaim. Nationality restored, we reclaim the name. Yeah, yeah. Love, truth, peace, let it spark that fire.
Freedom, justice,
lifting hearts higher.
No more strangers,
we know our part.
Real Moors Talk,
truth from the heart.
Real Moors Talk,
truth from the heart.
Real Moors Talk,
that's right.
Yeah, na, 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 na.
Shadow hour.
Yeah, na, 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 na.
Shadow hour.
Yeah, na, 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 na.
Shadow hour.
Yeah, na, 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 na.
That's it. Rise up, rise up, rise up. That's it. Rise up.
This is heritage.
That's it. Rise up.
This is consciousness.
That's it. Rise up.
That's your heritage.
That's it. Rise up.
Never haven't been.
That's it. Rise up. This is heritage. This is consciousness with your hostess, Prime Minister Durriyyah Bey.
All right, all right. We are at another episode of Real Morse Talk. Welcome everyone to episode 31 of Real Morse Talk. I'm your host of today, Prime Minister National Grand Sheik Durriyyah Bey. And I want to always start off first rising. I'm going to rise the ethers and give praises to our holy and give praises to our Creator Allah, and give much honor to our holy and divine Prophet Noble Drew. It is so important to remember the vibrations that we need to feel. So when we give praises to Allah and honor to our Prophet, that we remember in our ancient forefathers, and that's what something we're going to be talking about today here on Real Morse Talk. So I'm really excited to be here for episode 31. We're episode 31 of Real Morse Talk. So give ourselves a big hand for that. All right. And so in today's episode is going to be really good because today's episode, one of our guest speakers is not going to be here, but we do have Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey. As a matter of fact, I found out he was a Grand Sheik and he didn't tell me that. So we have Grand Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey here, and he's going to talk to us today also about the ancient forefathers celebration. So, but first, I always want to go ahead and get my advertisements out of the way on what we're talking about. So first, I want to give much honor to everyone who has donated to the uplifting of our school for online schooling for Moorish children. So I want to make sure that we constantly remember that we can always donate to online schooling for Moorish children. That's Donate Online Schooling for Moorish Children MC. We have our fundraisers through Rally Up, and you can go ahead and hit the QR code for Rally Up. And for a lot of times, people want to see their donations. They want to get some kind of receipt for their donations. And because they want to do that, we decided to try Rally Up. I know a lot of you are used to GoFundMe, but we're trying Rally Up to see how that works for us. So go ahead and go to Rally Up. You can just hit that QR code, go to Rally Up and donate, because our school starts Monday, September 7th. So we're looking for, we already have parents coming in, struggling already to try to come in and meet the criteria, and that should never happen because we should be able to take care of ourselves. So I do want to let you know about that. And then also our books at circle7publishing.com. Listen, you all have been wonderful. A lot of you all have been ordering the books, and thank you so much. Tonight's episode that we're talking about on Real Morse Talk is talking about our ancient mothers and fathers, ancient forefathers actually is the celebration. And in one of the books that I did, it should be in the link, information about the Moors book 2. So I did book 1, and then someone ordered one, and I let them know that we did finish book 2. So that's information about the Moors. That's book 2, and it's talking about our ancient fathers and mothers in book 2. All right. Also, we're also talking about our ancient fathers and mothers and information in 2 prophets in the same era of time. So you can go ahead and click the link to get those books. All right. Or go to circle7publishing.com. All right. Right there, circle7publishing.com. You can also donate to us at Moorish Science with gsk@durriyyahbey.com. Some of you all have donated there. Some of you all have said that the donations is for the school, donations for the Real Morse Talks, and we appreciate that because every single dollar that you send helps. We have one video that hit 27,000 views, and Taj and I was talking about that. If every individual who watched that video just had donated $1, we would be so much worthy today. So I know some of y'all don't feel obligated to donate. I think there's some kind of thing going out talking about e-begging or whatever. But let me say this about that real quickly. When you all come to the content and watch it, you can watch it or not watch it. When you do come to the content and watch the content, the people that are on this content, whatever content it is, they're taking their time that they won't get back to bring this information to you. So you may not feel like they're worthy. You may not feel like no one asked them to do it or whatever, but just think about that, the thought that the time it takes to put on any type of content to give you information or to entertain you or anything, people deserve it. Prophet let us know a servant is worthy of their hire. All right. So we just want to make sure that we understand that. So we're not begging. We're asking for your support, though. And that we do need is your support. All right. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is look for my Rally Up. I'm not sure. I don't see that on here. So I'll have the producer bring it up toward the end of the show, where we're going to be doing the Rally Up, where we show you the screen that's scrolling up and down on the rally up. And so we will do that. I think it's maybe the fundraiser video. Maybe I just need to add it to the screen. There we are. So adding it to the screen, and there we go. So this is rally up. I want you all to see. On rally up, it tells you exactly, what we're trying to do, the amount of fiat we're trying to collect, and how you can donate through there. So it scrolls down just to tell you that. All right. So we want to make sure that you have every opportunity and every way to donate. And let me say this to you all. Some of you all that order books, are ordering books and then canceling the order. And so that's unlawful, right? So as Moors, we try to be lawful, not unlawful. So the thing is, you don't want to be ordering books and then canceling the order of the books after you get them like you never ordered the books. All right, so stop. Why are we feeling like a servant is not worthy of their hire? So what we're going to do from now on, anyone else that does that, we're going to call you out right here. We'll say your name and we'll call you out so people know that you are dishonest. All right, so I just want to let you know that we will call you out on that. You should not don't be a thief. Okay, don't steal from others' work. All right, so I just wanted to let you know that. All right. So without further ado, I want to bring on my guest. I'm so excited to have him here today. And, he'll tell you about himself and he'll tell you about what he's doing. And so we're excited to hear. I'm going to bring on right now Grand Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey. All right, Grand Sheik, I'm going to add you to the stage. Let's see. Hold on, Grand Sheik. There you are. Islam. Looking so beautiful. Islam. Yes.
First is rising, giving all perfect praise to Allah, giving honor to his left thought, the Holy Prophet Noble Durriyyah Ali, giving honor to your platform, giving honor to your producers and all the hard work that y'all are doing in the name of Allah and the name of Ali. My name is Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey from Temple 13-2, Baltimore, Maryland, 2900 Pressman Street, Baltimore, Maryland, under the house of Pray the Ills.
I apologize, Grand Sheik. Hold on 1 second. I was trying to get that thing off of your face. Hold on 1 second. See if it'll bring you back on the stage. Hold on 1 second. There we are. I wanted them to be able to see you and there was some stuff blocking you. Go ahead. I apologize.
You're fine. Praise Allah. I'm Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey from Temple 13-2 in Baltimore, Maryland, by way of 2900 Pressman Street, under the leadership of the House of Pray the Ill, Sheik Clarence Pray the Ill, and Sheik is Betty Pray the Ill. Islam?
Islam, Islam. Islamism. So, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself because I met you years and years ago. And years ago, you was a little thin mode years ago. And I remember you coming in the temple. And so the thing was, I was this Be More Bites. I didn't even know that you owned it, right? So I kept seeing, I was like, I need to find a Moorish restaurant because everything I do, I wanted to be Moorish. And so finally, when you popped up on the screen, I kept saying, I want to go. And one day I just said, you know what? And it's just a good thought. I did go. And your niece was working behind the counter. And she's the one that told me who you were. And I was like, I know that, Mo. And so she said, well, he'll be here in a few minutes. Do you want to wait for him? And when you walked in the door, I looked at your face, but I didn't recognize you. I was like, but you used to be a little skinny, Mo. So, tell us a little bit about yourself being in the temple and also about your restaurant and what you're doing for the Ancient Forefathers Day, Mo.
Well, I've been a faithful member to the Moorish Science Temple of America for 20 years. And I say faithful member. Been in Moorish science longer than that, but I'm talking about faithful to Allah and the Prophet, where I wasn't walking bow-legged, going one way, the Prophet way, for about 20 years. Me and my wife are the owners of Be More Bites restaurant. Trying to put Moorish in front of everything that we do. Our first Moorish business was a Moorish American tag and title. From there, we opened up the Noble Durriyyah Ali Community Outreach Center. From there, Allah blessed us to purchase the building where the temple is. Now we have the temple. We have a Moorish daycare over top of the temple. So I'm pretty humble. I try not to put my face on everything as an owner, because I know none of this is possible without Allah. You know, I give Allah all the credit for anything that I've been able to do, anything that my wife been able to do, anything that the temple has been able to do. We're coming up on 7 years of being at 2900 Pressman Street. So to Allah goes all the glory. I just listen to the small voice, and if I believe that it's Allah speaking to me, I act on it no matter what anybody else think on it. Islam?
Islamism, you know, and that's the way to go. And a lot of times people try to act like when you want to be part of the Moorish science, when you want to live that life, that something's wrong with you. But I find like it's something wrong with you if you do not want to, you know, if you don't want to know about nationality and birthrights, you know. So I want to talk about our ancient mothers and fathers today, because I know a lot of Moors say that they're learning from me about Phut. And so when you said the ancient forefathers there, I know you're thinking of all ancient mothers and fathers, all ancient forefathers, but you know, more probably towards the founder and the reincarnated prophet. But our lineage goes further back than that. And when the prophet gave us chapter 25, he was connecting us right to those ancient brothers and sisters. But he talks about Mizmarim, but he doesn't mention Phut. And for the longest time when I was in college, I was like, why I don't see Phut in here? You know, and I don't know if it was just by error or misprint, or somebody just didn't want to put Phut in there, because, you know, the prophet depended on someone else to print those pamphlets in 1928, right? 1927, 1928. But we know that we are a direct lineage from Phut. And so all my research and study that I've been doing from that Phut and his wife Bakht. And so we know that that's where our lineage comes from. And so when you were talking about the ancient forefathers there, I got so excited, because I was like, I have a book on Phut and where we come as Moors, and how the landmass, you know, the Phut named, and how he Mauretania, and how we all from that and from Moors, and that's a whole legacy and history of that, which I have in my episode. If we have time, I'm going to go over that today. But also in the book that I did write recently, I had the first one. I introduced people to Phut was in information 1. This is information 2. And what I did with information 2 is I went into it where I added the women right in it, because, you know, a lot of times historically we're left behind, knowing that mankind is not here on earth without us, right? But somehow we always get left behind. So I made sure that I included us in this. Now I know, and I think it was back in May we had Ancient Mother's Day, because I know I did something on Ancient Mother's Day back, I think it was May, and then I know you all had something at the temple, and I think it was Ancient Mother's Day actually that I ran into you and got to meet up with the Grand Sheik again. Yes, and so it's an honor to know that you all still carry on the tradition of the ancient parents, our mothers and fathers, and carry that legacy on. And we find that Moors don't always participate in it. So could you tell me why it's important for us to participate in this Ancient Forefathers Day celebration? Why is it important? You know, talk to me. Tell me why you feel like it's important.
I think it's important to have participation, because just as you stated, a lot of people are no longer honoring thy mother and thy father, that thy days may be long. So when you have the participation, just like you have a lesson on Phut, somebody may have a degree on another ancient forefather. Somebody else may have a degree. And if we all participating together, we're coming together to put that piece to the puzzle together, so that we can get it out to the masses of people that don't believe or don't understand how important it is to honor your forefathers and your foremothers, because we're only here because of the path that they laid for us, through sacrifice, through losing their lives, etc. So it's very important that we have participation from everyone, not just the Moorish science temples that's sponsoring it. Anybody that have any knowledge of their ancient forefathers and foremothers, so that when the common people come out, they can get a better understanding than what was just taught to us in the schools where we know that's not our true history and our true ancient forefathers and foremothers. Islam?
Islam, that's absolutely true. And you know, a lot of times, like a lot of people associate with the Bible, the Piscean record. I'm not really a big fan of that because we know if you're a scholar, that book came from the old Canaanite scrolls. Like that book is made up of a lot of different books. It's a compilation. Just like when people say the Circle 7 is a compilation. So it's the Piscean record that they call the Bible a compilation. A lot of books are compilations of other books. But we know that the direct descendants, when we're talking about Adam, or they say that Adam, and then we talk about Noah, and those are all different time frames. Then we're talking about Ham, right? And Ham was the son of Noah, and we know that Phut is the son of Ham, right? So we can go back when the prophet talks about the Hamathites and Canaanites and Moabites, right? From the land of Moab. We can go back, you know, people like myself that research and others can go back and tell you where our lineage lies, because a lot of times people try to make like our lineage lies not until, you know, we came out of slavery. And we know that we are historical people, we're ancient people before words were even spoken, right? That's us. We created languages, we created science and math and literature. Those are things we created. And we know that every other nation on this earth, whether they want to accept it or not, come out from us. And we know long before they started calling tribes, we know that the Moab called them the Moabites. We know that Phut called his people the Phoenicians. And we know that Ham's people called Hamathites and Canaanites. You know, we all know all of these people that follow Abraham called Embryonic. You know, we all know that somewhere down the line, the whole father or the leader of those particular group took on the name of those people. So we know that the Moors are a combination of all of those ancient people together. And we know the prophet tells the story in the Circle 7 of when, you know, when Musa, what they call Moses, right, when him and Joshua got into a big rift, right? And so when Joshua got into the rift, you know, he left, and when he left, he came over here to these territories where they call America today. We know we asked permission for those pharaohs that were actually over here at the time to come over here. And we know that once the Moors left that territory, you know, the land died because we were the cultivators, the nourishers, and all of that. So for our children, that's a really big thing for me is historically, I want them to know that our history does not start with slavery, right? We need to not only tell our children so that they can tell their children's children, but also other Moors that do not know this history. Some of them think it's just started in 1912 or 1913. Some of them cannot see outside the box. They don't have a connection to who they are historically before Prophet Noble Drawley. The one thing that's most important to me is that Prophet Noble Drawley, when he came and brought this to us, he gave us a way to trace ourselves back. He gave us the divine origin of the Asiatic nation, right? He told us how we could trace ourselves back. He talked about how we can trace ourselves back in the beginning of Christianity, how he taught the foundation was in Rome. We know that we're not Christians. The prophet in the end of time, fulfilling the prophecy, talked about Marcus Mosiah Garvey and how he came prepared to people. I mean, all these things we know, the prophet left things for us to be able to connect ourselves back to. And I think it's so important with Ancient Forefathers Day that's coming up. That's so important that when we're talking to the people out there, that we're able to give them some of this lineage so they can do some of the footwork for themselves. One of the things that I do is try to make sure that the resource material that I use, I try to make it privy to people so they can find themselves. So during the Ancient Forefathers Day celebration, Mo, what are you all going to be doing to be honoring those ancient fathers doing for Ancient Forefathers Day?
We have a full-fledged program where we're going to honor the ancient forefathers and foremothers. Program will consist of speakers, skits, vendors out with educational material to give out, as well as we're going to have a program that we're going to give out. We also going to allow just a few minutes for, you know, other Moors that's not a part of the grand body that's traveling from far and near to come and give their honors and give their portion of ancient forefathers. We've also invited different nationalities out. to give their portion. Because you said something very important earlier, how all of them are part of our Moorish empire. So we invited, other nationalities out, encouraged them to come out dressed in their heritage, in their colors, demonstrating their portion of their history, and then where we can educate them, on how that ties back into the ancient times. Because you are so true. Most people believe that it starts with slavery, or we just start during the time of the prophet. But we know we go way, way, way back before the time of the prophet.
That's right.
Allah heard us cry out. And when we were stripped of our nationality, we were stripped of our heritage, in his mercy, he sent us a prophet to restore. And a lot of people don't understand, to restore something means you already had it. But we had to have somebody to wake us up in the mind to restore everything that was taken away from us.
That's right. And it's so tonight I wanted to go beyond 7/11, right? Because a lot of times in history, they talk about 7/11, right? The Common Era, before, we were expelled from Spain. A lot of times, I never forget when I was younger and I was in history, because I was born and raised in more science. I never forget the social studies teacher, that's what they call them back then, was talking about the Moors. And it was a little paragraph about the Moors, about that big, and them getting expelled from Spain. And so when he was, I said, excuse me, that's not true. That's not our history. Like, that's not where we are. He said, well, you say you Moorish, but you're not Moorish, you're black. And he was trying to convince me I was black and all this stuff. I've always been a fireball. So you can't put something on me that's just not going to fit. And so me and him got into it about that. And I said, I could give you a whole history of the Moors. You don't have no idea who we are, and I'm not black. And I was quoting off the black, things you learn in Sunday school. And, I was in high school at the time. I think it was in ninth or 10th grade. And so he got so angry with me because I was fighting with him. You go to the office. And so he called, and I'll never forget Roletta Cream. She was our principal at the time. And I'll never forget. So he sent to the office, and then Mr. Walters, his name was Walters, and his name was Walters, the assistant principal. And he said, I don't want her coming back to my class. Every time I try to teach my class, she always got something to say because I didn't want to be lied to, And so I never forget that. He said, I'll just pass her with a C if she never come back to my class. And I was an honor roll student. So I was like, I'm not taking no C. I can't get an A because I'm not turning work, but I'll take a B and I'll never have to go back to this class. I can sit in study hall. So that's what I did for the rest of the school year. I sat in study hall during his class. That man couldn't stand me because he was lying to us about our history. The very first fight we got into is with him showing some Africans on screen, in all of the clothes half naked with the women's breasts hanging out and, just looking like savages. And he wanted to try to sell that. And, I went in on him on that. So I guess he was like, look, I can't teach what I need to teach and mess their minds up with her in my class. So this wound up being I think it was the second semester I wound up getting put out of his class. And I had to do the rest of the second and third semester in study hall, which I got a lot of homework done. But yes, so when you're, the thing about being conscious is what I tell people. When you're conscious, I don't know how people go back, but you can. Because whenever you are conscious, things keep coming back to light for you. Like, so how do you go back? Once you find out the truth, how do you go back? Everything is a thought process. You think about everything when you're conscious. Like, your mind is awakening, like the prophet said. So this whole woke program that they talk about and laugh about, the Europeans is trying to make you feel bad about being awakened. So I don't care about the woke and all of that. I am woke. I'm not asleep. And that's the part that they don't get. So when you're awakening up, they try to use terms to try to make you feel bad about yourself. But I wanted to go to really quickly where I had in my notes about Phut. So when I was saying earlier, we know that our lineage starts with Phut. And one of the things is, if you look in historically, he's in a few places, plays in the Piscine record. But if you go to the Canaanite history of Phut, if you go way back before the books of the Bible, you will see that Phut is an ancient father of the Moors, and he is the one that represents us. Now, they never say about his wife Bakht if she ever had children, but it does show that they had grandchildren. So you know that they do have children. And then what it shows later on historically is that they had 2 sons. And they never had any daughters according to history, but they had 2 sons. And this is where the offspring of their sons come from. And so I told Moors I would love to teach that history. Like, that's the kind of history we teach here at our school. At Online School for Moorish Children, we teach us about our ancient history. Now, some people might say that who cares about that history? Them people dead, they not alive. Why you care about that? And you're doing the celebration on Ancient Forefathers Day. So what would you say to someone who came up to you, Grand Sheik, and said, you know, that's just old history. I don't care about then. I care about only now. What is some things you might say to an individual that come to you with that?
I've been telling people we can't dismiss history because they want us to easily dismiss our history because they know that'll wake us up to who we truly are. So when someone used to tell me that, I was kind of like you. I wasn't a fireball as much as you in challenging my teacher, but I always knew that it was something more that I was missing. Yeah. And I too used to always get that. Well, that's ancient history. That's what they want to say. Oh, that's over with, living in the now. But if they try to give us to live in the now, then we'll be stuck with living in black, living in Negro, living in color, living in Ethiopia, etc. That's really what's the living in the now. To tie into who we are and where we come from and our true descendants that we come from, we got to look towards history because they've been pulling a veil over our eyes and over our children's eyes and our parents and their parents' eyes on the true history of who we are. So I never let nobody tell me that that's ancient history, that's over with, you don't need to go back to history, because if that was the case, I would have never known about this flag that's standing behind me. You know, I would have never known about the ancient prophets. I would have never been able to pick up that circle 7 and the prophet tell me about the Canaanites, the Moabites, the Hittites, the Amorites, E, T, and C. So going back in history is very important, because it gives you a sense of identity of who you truly are and where you come from. And if we allow them to stop us from tracing history, we'll be stuck in their history of Negroism where they want us to stay at. Islam?
Islam. And you know, that's a very interesting thing. And I always tell people the modern terms that they use, they don't connect to us. For instance, the word black itself and Negro, we know that nigger, even the word nigger comes from the troglodyte nigger. I'm not sure if a lot of people have read the book, The Nigger Problem, that Taj and I have wrote. But the reason that book was written, because so many people didn't realize that when we call ourselves your nigga, my nigga don't get no big and all that, you're talking about a caveman. You're talking about the time that they're trying to associate their negativity onto you. And nigger itself is a beast. And we know that the word Negro is the same word in Spanish. It means black. Originally, it meant dark. But we know if we go to the old language that the word Negro meant pale. The word black meant pale. But we know that the word Negro itself in Moorish Latin means black, okay, or dark. We know that. And so when you call somebody a Negro, you're calling them black. So there is no difference. When people say, well, I'm a Negro, I'm not black, or I'm black, I'm not a Negro, they're contradicting themselves, right? Because in a whole nother language, it's saying something totally different. And we know that. And so these are the type of things that we want to try to teach people, the ignorance. What I find that is the ignorance that people have. You know, they want to stay ignorant. It seems like they don't want to wake up. They don't want to grow up to it. And so when we're talking about our ancient fathers, I think that we should have those lessons. And I will be bringing the book out there to the event. I'm so excited that I'm going to be out there, you know, streaming the event and everything and just sharing time with you all. It just feels so good to be around Moors, you know, to be around your own people. And I'll have those books out there. But I'm thinking historically, because like in our school, you know, we should start teaching our children at a very early age. And I know you said you have a daycare and there's only so much you could teach a child at daycare, but one thing you could teach them is about themselves and pride, about themselves and who they are. all those type of things. It starts at a very early age. So a lot of times when children, I noticed that some children, they grew up in more science. It was one brother who started his own company. I know for a fact he came up in more science because I know his parents. But he broke out and started the whole black line. He got a whole bunch of clothing line about black because we're too afraid to not use that word and associate ourselves with it. And the bottom line is that what happens with that is that what about when that term gets old to the European, they decide to change you again? Because we know every 20-some years, they decide to change our nationality. But every couple of years, we're the only people who has so many terminologies on us. The only people anywhere in the world that have been called so many different things. And none of them have been anything positive until the Prophet Noble Drawley came on the scene and straightened that out. What do you think about that, Mo? What do you think about that? All the negativity that's been put on us and all the names that they've chosen for us. And then they took a prophet to come here and remove those labels from us.
Praise and Allah for our ancient forefathers and foremothers for recognizing that we needed a prophet because they cried out to the Almighty God Allah. And we know that the Allah we serve is merciful, He's loving, and He's caring. And I'm so grateful to Him for sending us a holy prophet, the Holy Prophet Noble Drawley, to do exactly what you said, to clean that mess up. We're wondering why we're going through the worst of times in the land that we live in right now, because they still are not following the principles and the laws that have been laid down by the Holy Prophet Noble Drawley. And until they say the Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that's through the Moorish Science Temple of America. So I thank Allah all the days of my life for our prophet, because I had one son that was born Moorish. And I, like you too, did a little research, and I was curious. I said, I want to see if my son that was born Moorish, Social Security numbers would match mine, his parents, or the rest of his siblings. So all of my children that I have, all our Social Security numbers start with the same 3. But my son that was born Moorish, that I didn't allow them to put Negro on none of his paperwork from the minute that he was born, Empress, his Social Security number is different than every other child that I have. So they know the difference in being born Moorish or being considered Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian, etc. The first thing I did was compare that because I was curious to see was he going to come into the world with anything different than my other children did. And he did. His Social Security number is not even close or near his crazy numbers that I've never seen, and is nowhere near matching my other children before I was in Moorish Science Temple and before I was conscious, as you state the word conscious and awakened. So they know. It's not that they don't know. The prophet is just waiting for us to wake up and come together. He's already laid the blueprint. We don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel. All we got to do is step into the blueprint and the footprints that he left clearly cut so we can get this work done and wake up the other unconscious Asiatics out here in the world. Islamism.
And that's so true. And one of the things is that when we're talking about ancient history, a lot of times when the prophet said we are descendants of Africans and born in America, and one of the things that they're trying to do right now is disassociate us from Africa, right? They're trying to have that division between us. And so you have a lot of videos that's out there right now. They're saying, oh, you're not African American, but they're telling you that you're black, but you're not African American, which we know we're not. The reason we're not African American is nothing wrong with it. It's just that there's a continent like America. There's many nations in Africa. So if you say that you're African American, then what nation in Africa are you from? But we know that the name from Africa is even a brand new name for that territory. We know Alkebulan is the original name for that territory long before they renamed it. right? So they try to say it comes from this European colonist and all that. We know that that's not how it actually got its name. We know that the ancient, name for this so-called American territory is a Mexam, and we know that they took the more modern name of Africa and took the ancient name of this territory in American, and we know that's how we got a Mexam. We know these things; these are facts. These are not fictions of things, but people would try to make you feel like that you don't know what you're talking about. And I'll tell you something. I did a show on Alkebulan, right? That this territory is at. Do you know? I would say maybe not even 2 weeks after that show, there's a bunch of videos out now talking about the old name of the territory. Because the thing is, the Europeans don't want to be left behind, or these people that with the AI, or whatever. So you can tell it was AI generated though, because it was a bunch of Europeans inside of it. You know how they try to make a video, but you can't get all the Europeans out. That means that you're doing something AI, but they don't want it. Everywhere you try to get rid of them, they're popping up in there. But they actually started sending that out there. And so, do you know the real name of this territory? And that shows you that when we start waking up, people take the information that we put out there, which I'm glad they do, and disperse it. But the amazing thing is that the prophet told us that. He said that if he went to the top of the mountain and hollered to you all, you're not nickel, black, and colored, you're not coonshine, jigaboos, or whatever, that nobody would listen to what he said. But he said if the European went to the top of the mountains and held it out overnight that you're not African American, you're not black, you're not niggles, and told us who we were, our nationality and our birthrights, then they would do it overnight. So it goes to show you that now people want to associate with what I was telling them months ago because it came out on an AI video. Not because I told you and I gave you the information to try to research it. It came out on an AI video, and so now people are associating with that. And that's the amazing thing to me is our people. It's so hard for us to believe that our time did not start with slavery, that we have ancient mothers and fathers. We before Phut, we know that what they consider Adam, we know is not the first physical man, but Adam is the one that they start our line with. But we know after Adam, they came others. There came Noah. We know Noah, they came Ham. We know we could just go back further and further. And then, of course, the descendants of Ham and his 4 sons, we have Phut, who's our father. And the mother of our people, even though we know Ruth is a Moabitess, she's not the original mother of the Moors. She's associated with Moab, but she's not the original mother of the Moors. That would be Phut's wife, Bakht, where she comes in because she was born long before Ruth the Moabitess in that time. And it's just things that when they even try to tell our history, they're not connecting the dots correctly. So I'm just feeling that we should have like a law and history class again, where Moors should probably come and learn about themselves and try to start it again. Back in the day, at the temple, the Grand Sheik, Clarence the Ill, and myself was trying to do the civics and law and history and health classes. And people were really not really acceptance of that at the time. But maybe in this era time now, that people see that the information is out there, they can research for themselves. They may be more receptive to us, doing those type of things and taking us back so we can have more pride. Because we need to have more pride in ourselves. I think when we do that, we'll find out the riches of our lineage and how important we are as people. What is your thoughts on that, Mo?
Absolutely. I mean, it's always good to go back to the foundation of those classes and the things that used to be done. We just fighting against this electrifying age. Everybody, like you say, want to run to AI and trust that. And if, you tell somebody something, the first thing gonna come on board is doubt. But if the European tell them something, they'll believe that to be factual and true. But we can't give up. That's the word I'm looking for. We can't stop teaching. We can't stop putting the prophet out there first. We can't stop believing in the true lessons of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because there are a few that's going to challenge. Those are few going to say you don't know what you're talking about, but yet they won't take the time to do the research. I can't speak for other houses and other masses that I came from, but I've always been taught not to be beret or rainbow. And what that means, don't go around standing on knowledge and things that I've attained by saying that the Empress has told me so, or the Sheik has told me so. I try to pride myself on that when I'm giving information, I love to research it and not find it only in one place. I feel much better if I can find that same lesson or degree in 3 different places, because I believe wholeheartedly that 3 is confirmation to me in my studies and my travels. So I do think that's a good idea, to bring, that history portion, especially the civic portion. We're missing a whole big portion of the prophets, movement by not touching on civics, health. During the prophet time, he dealt wholeheartedly with health. We have gotten away from that. He dealt wholeheartedly with natural health. So I believe that, we have gotten away from it. And I believe a lot of people, because I sit with a lot of people and they become frustrated. Ain't nobody listening, don't nobody, want to hear that, but we don't know that. How many people are silently, like you say, listening to your show and taking the good information that you have and putting it out there? Just because people are not responding doesn't mean that we're not reaching the people. And I believe we got to get out of the habit of being so easily frustrated, when we believe that we're not, getting the great support that we think. And your show is a prime example that you probably had no clue that those people were not only going to be watching, but was going to take your information as it was their research and put it out to the masses. That's one good point to let others know that's doing the same great work that you are doing. Trust and believe that they are watching. Islam?
Islam. Absolutely. And when I was younger, because I was always a creator, created things, I always did that, jeans, jackets, dress them up, all that thing. And I remember my father used to always say that when someone copies you, that's the highest form of flattery. Because, when you're young, you don't take it like that. Like you have to be taught those lessons, right? And so when something was going on with me and my son was doing something and somebody imitation is the highest form of flattery. And my son said, Mother, when they imitate you, that's the highest form of flattery. And I said, you sound just like your grandfather. So, that's the thing. For me, the information is put out there so people can do the research. It's put out there because the genealogy that we have, where I went so far back is, let me put my peepers on really quickly. I just wanted to kind of have people be able to actually know how far back that I've done, and they can research back too. So when we talk about the lower third of Alkebulan that we talk about, that includes Adam goes through generations, and that includes Seth, Enos, Kenan, Michael, Milael, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. These names belong to a sacred ancestral chronology. These are people that are all descendants of Phut, right? They before Phut. So look at how far back we go. So that's what I'm saying. When people try to make us like we're brand new people, if you just go chronologically to our history and go back, once you take Phut and go all the way back, because remember, you got Phut's brothers who they had their tribes too. And this is where the separation, like you were saying early, comes. So we know we're the sons and daughters of Phut. Someone's the sons and daughters of his brothers, right? We know Mizraim or the Egyptians. The prophet talks about that, right? He said they're the direct seeds of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, right? So we know that all of these Asiatic nations are a part of who we are. Our lineage is first. We know that Noah, that's why he's considered the father of nations, because all these different nations came from out of Noah. So when the prophet told us there was very few Europeans on this earth, the Europeans is acting like they just now seeing it right now, but it's always been very little of them on this earth. They allowed the amalgamation to take place to keep their bloodline alive, right? They let us amalgamate with their ancestors because they knew after 6,000 years that they would need some more of our blood to keep going. So they allowed all this mass amalgamation. Now that they got what they needed from us, now they're trying to put us in a chokehold. They're trying to take everything that we have, whether it's under the name of Black or African American or whatever. They try to take all of that away and put us back in destitute again because they don't need us. The problem this time is too many of us know better, and we are not going backward, right? So we have a large generational line. And I let people know that we don't start, when people, the Prophet Noble Jolly restored, like you said, reestablished what was lost. But we were always tribes and nations. We always had identification. So to identify with Black is brand new. You're taking an ancient people and putting a modern term on us, and it don't work. The European want to call themselves white when you know their history goes way, way back to the troglodyte nigga when they first started planning, talk about all the way back to the Yakub experience. We know how their history began. People don't like to have that uncomfortable conversation, but it's the truth. We know how their history began. And so since they have been here, they have been trying to take from us and put us in a bad position. And some of us keep falling for it. So I really think that this is a really important, the Ancient Forefathers Day that you're doing. I think the Ancient Forefathers Day, when you said y'all brought so many different, Islamic or generations of people together in different cultures, because we should be having people from, Phut. We should be having people from, Mesmerine, if they'll come. A lot of them. Do you know, I met some Egyptians that they call them Egyptians today, but we know they're comedians modern, but before that they were Mizmarine. Do you know that they told me that they don't even go by that, they go by Mizmarine? That they don't even know why the ancient, like with the Greek, that they don't even go by that name. Like they think it's an insult, like somebody calling you a nigger. That's how Egyptians take that as an insult. Because the Europeans, colonizers, have been naming people since they've been here on this existence with something that was hard to say or something they want to categorize or do. They keep changing your name. The beautiful thing is we're told that no one can change a decent nation unless their powers extend beyond a great universal creator. The only one who can change decent for you is your creator, and you create yourself. So there's no way that you should allow these Europeans to call you. People say, oh, well, that didn't work. They called me Black, and I had to just take it for the sake of this and the sake of that. When you start letting people label and name you, then you're already defeated. This European cannot tell you who you are. And why would you allow him to identify you when he cannot tell you who you are? You tell him who you are. You tell him your birthright. You tell them your name. You tell them your nationality. They don't let them tell you. What is that when you're letting another individual tell you who you are and name you and label you? Then you don't have no self-worth at that point because someone else has taken all of that from you. And that's what they did in South Africa to those brothers and sisters over there. And a lot of them feel defeated. So when they're doing the Ancient Forefathers Day on Saturday, is some of those things like people are doing lectures, or some people are going to be talking about those things in the lectures and about our history and about unification and coming together, because I have a unity letter I told Grand Sheik. I think I might have emailed it to him already. I'll email you a copy, updated copy, that I think that at your event that you're throwing, that unity letter should be read, because it's talking about all Asiatics across the universe, to look at it and see if it's something that you think is appropriate to be able to read, to come together in one unit, because the Europeans can't defeat us if we come together as one. Do you have any people speaking on those type things at the event on Saturday?
I'm pretty sure it would be. I don't have the itinerary of what everyone is demonstrating, but normally every year it'd be a mixture of everything that you brought up, and I definitely want to lay eyes on the unity piece that you have, because the more the merrier, especially if it's something that can uplift our people. And we're just really just laying the foundation that the Prophet gave to us in his blueprint in the Holy Quran, Circle 7, because he told us everyone who was Asiatics and Muslims. So if he put that in there and told us who were the Asiatics and Muslims, he put that in there because he wants us to come together. We got to stop letting the European make our people think that we're the minority. We're not the minority. They are the minority. The only way we become the minority when we allow them to put us in these small pockets, or separating us. And I learned a powerful degree while on vacation about 3 years ago. And I don't care where I go, if I'm with my wife, or whoever I'm with, if I can't find a temple or mosque where I'm going, I don't go. So we in Jamaica. And I'm riding around like, I have to find a temple, I have to find a mosque. And I wear my garbs, full garb, when I'm on vacation.
That's right.
And I goes into the mosque, and this is a true story, Mobite, and I'll show you the paperwork of what they was working on. When I walked in, these brothers was demonstrating, you know, Sunni degrees, etc. When I walked in with my feds, if I lies my witness, 3 brothers said, "We be right back." They ran upstairs in the mosque and came back downstairs in a Moorish, all of them had on Moorish garb, and they turned their chalkboard around and they were studying ancient Moorish history. And they said, "My brother, we've been waiting for our family to finally come here and get us." And he said, "They call us the Maroons, but we know that we are Moors." And they had a whole lesson that they was working on before I went there, and they didn't want me to see it, so they spent their chalkboard around, because at that moment they hadn't recognized who I were. And on that, they had a letter they were sending to Queen of England, already wrote up that when they finally seen their Moorish brethren, that they had wrote that the rule of the Queen of England has finally ended. And I still stay in touch with those brothers to this day through WhatsApp, etc. But even all the way over there, they recognize that they are Moors. And they were so elated to see a Moor from over this side of town. And I mean, Mobile, it was an infinite experience for me and my wife. I mean, they literally went and changed their guard. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know whether I was out of place, because they were demonstrating Sunni stuff before I came. And they went upstairs and put on their Moorish garb to match my Moorish garb, spent their board around and said, "Look what we was really working on before you walked in here." And they was all in there studying and demonstrating on Moorish history, on how to get from under the iron hand oppression of the Pale-Tin Nation, who was governing a portion of their land.
Islamism. Yes, and you know, I know that feeling, Mo, when people recognize you from different territories. Because I never forget when I was, you know, working as a nurse, I never forget there was nurses from the Philippines that came over, and they would be talking to me, and they would tell me, "You're Moor, you Moor," which because I had already researched and studied, that was a title that was given to us, Moor, that I knew exactly what they were talking about. And so I asked her one time, I said, I need to talk to once. I said, I need to know why y'all come over here and act like you do towards us. Like, why do y'all come over here and act like you don't know who we are and all this? And she said, because when they come over to the United States, they take an oath. They come over here and take an oath. And they're not allowed to talk to us or tell us who we are. And that the television they show about us over here is about being in the ghettos, being poor, murdering and killing each other and all this. She was telling me, she said, "Do you know, talking to you about this, I could be deported if you repeated it." I said, "You never have to worry about me repeating this where someone will get you in trouble." Because I would never tell someone here, you know, on this staff, we working with a whole bunch of Europeans, that you told me this. I would never trade you in for that. But she was so excited because I wore my turban. You know, a lot of people didn't wear their turban. They used to give me a hard time when I was young about wearing my turban to work. And that she just was so excited to see me in my turban. Like, she was just so excited. Like, "You wear that over here?" She was like, tripping about it. And I was like, yes, you know, because I'm never going to allow never going to allow them to tell me what I can and cannot do, who I can and cannot be. I will never be stripped of my nationality. And that's why I say I know that if I was back there during the times when they was killing us off and stuff, Mo, I wasn't here very long. I was gone quickly, because I will not tolerate them Europeans. But I've had more say that. I've had brothers that come over from different parts of Africa talking about the kingdom of Morocco versus Morocco. You know, when they know that you are who you are, they will talk to you. But for some reason, they don't try to educate you because they're afraid, I guess, that the ignorance of someone may cause them trouble. And so a lot of times they won't talk to you. But a lot of times, you're right, they will talk to you and tell you who they are. And it's beautiful to know that. And my thing is that I'm looking forward to the event on the 29th. I really am. But I'm looking forward to the gathering of Moors being there. I'm looking for turbans and feathers. I know some of us will be out of them. But I always tell, the thing is, if you're not in representing your headdress, you look just like another Asiatic to me. I don't know who you are just by you saying you're Asiatic. You're more. I don't know that. And I always use the example. I was in a Walmart. I never forget one time, and his brother was following me around, and I didn't have any idea who he was, but I felt uncomfortable and followed me around. And so he was saying he didn't know how to approach me. He was following me around, and then the next thing you know, he grabbed me on my shoulder, and I dropped him right to the floor. And he was like, "Whoa, sister, whoa! I'm a Mo. I'm a Mo. I'm a Mo." And so I said his name, and I said, "But how I know that?" I said, "You don't even have your fez on, or not even a kufi saying you Muslim or practice Islam or nothing. You look like any old joker off the street. So how do I know that you a Mo? Just by looking at you. Yes, you're Asiatic, but a lot of us are so unconscious that we can't trust someone touching you from the outside. And so he was like, "You right, sister, you right, sister, you right, sister." And I'm like, represent yourself, brother. Put on a fez or a kufi at least to let me know that you're practicing Islam or something, that you're my brother in the faith. You know what I mean? Because so many of us hurt each other and try to destroy each other. I don't know who you are touching me like that out in the street. And the prophet told us to wear our headdress. And I do a demonstration on the fez and the turban. And I wrote a whole article on the representation of the fez and the turban and why we wear our fez like we do, why we wear our turban, what it does, how it protects our chakras and all those things. Because the one thing I think was so important from the prophet is not knowing. So if I tell you something, right, or take away something from you, I have to put something in its place, right? So if I say, "Sister, wear your turban," and you like letting your hair swing, and most of the time we know it's not their hair that's swinging. We know it's somebody else's hair swinging, all kinds of dead cells in their head or wigs or whatever, that I'm taking something away from you, but I'm putting something in place, the knowledge of self. I'm telling you why you should wear your turban. I'm telling you what happens. And that book that I wrote, Your Hair is Your Conscious Connection to the Universe, I'm explaining to sisters why you don't put things in your hair and why you wear your turban. You know what I'm saying? So when we take something away from people, we have to put something in place of it. Sometimes it's knowledge. Sometimes I don't have tit for tat. The prophet took away the Christ mass from us, gave us January the 8th. They took Thanksgiving from us and gave us December 6th. You understand what I'm saying? They took away the January 1st and gave us the Moorish New Year, January 15th. Every time the prophet took something away from us, he put something in the place of it, so we don't feel like that we've lost anything. And I think it's really important that we follow that example. So we take something away from our children, we put something in place of it. Not only that, but explaining why I think in this electrified age, as you were speaking earlier, is really important to explain to people why certain things are done. Back in the day when I was coming up, it was because I said so. And that was cool for back then. But today, you have to tell people why you want them to do something. You have to give them the information, as they call it, the information age. You have to explain things. And that's what I love so much about the teaching of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It was nothing under the founder, under the reincarnated prophet. Even when they went to the house of R. Thompson-Bey, every one of those houses, every time something was taught, it was why. You understand what I'm saying? Like, why you do this, why you do that. When Hamid Anderson Ill came to Newark and changed from the Moorish Science Temple to the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, he explained the reason that he changed it, even though that was his reason. He explained about the dress. He reincorporated why we dress the way that we do, why the reincarnated prophet told us how to wear our dresses, how to wear our heads, etc. All of those things were taught so that you would have the knowledge of it. And not so much that, but the knowledge to teach someone else. So I think that getting together on the 29th is a really good way for us to put our heads together and share the information that we have from different houses or different information together and come together as a collective and stop all these big I's and little U's that the prophet talked about, because there's no reason why we have big I's and little U's. There's no reason for it. because our ancient mothers and fathers, our ancient forefathers were the founders of the first civilization. We have so much history to share with one another and perpetuate it on down the road that we can keep it moving and moving and moving down the road, because I'm afraid for our youth, Mo. I'm afraid for our youth that information I know, that they're not getting this. And so coming together collectively, I know there's going to be a lot of children out there. So I think that that's a really good way for our children to meet and greet and talk about themselves and learn about their ancient mothers and fathers. Yield to you, Mo.
Absolutely. Yes, it's definitely going to be children there. And we keep the children involved. We give them a portion of the program just to keep them engaged. And then also, you hit the nail right on it. We're taking something away from them for a few hours where we want their undivided attention. Because we want them to get it. Like you said, we want them to get it. You just said it, that, you worrying about the children because it seems like they're not getting it. So we don't want them just running free while you may be demonstrating somebody else that may have something for them. But what we're doing when we do take something that they believe is valuable, not being able to just run around and play because it has a part, but once the program portion ends, then we're giving them something that they're going to value, games, fun time. But for the program portion, we're going to take that away from them because we're going to want everybody's undivided attention so that everybody can get a piece of this puzzle and a piece of this knowledge, this ancient history, so that we can keep continuing it to teach it for generations to generations. So definitely the children will be there. They will definitely be engaged. And whatever we take from them, we're going to give them something of either equal value or maybe greater, so we can keep them locked in with us for this program.
Yes, and I love that thought, taking away something and putting something of greater value or equal value in its place. That's just such an amazing thing to do. For me, my children never missed out on that Christ Mass or that Thanksgiving. Their friends used to come to my house and celebrate with my children their holiday. And I think about my grandmother, where when I started posting her information on Facebook, the people didn't even realize, it was like, oh, I remember Miss Julia. I remember y'all January the 8th, we used to come over her house and get the stuffed fish and, sweet potatoes and all of that. Like, they remember my grandmother for the one being the cooker and the one sharing information and having a whole neighborhood would come to her house. And I met people through just posting that knew my grandmother. They had never even met me because they remembered that. And those are the type of impressions we want to leave on people. Who we are, those ancient Moors, those ancient Moabites. And yes, at one time we didn't call ourselves Moors. So in my information, I do go over where Moor comes in. I go over when Phut is the one. And that's why I think he's also called the father of the Moors. He's the one that started naming the Moors Moors. Mauretania, he named that area. Mauri, he spelled it. And I have all the different spellings that he had for the name. But it's all in my book. All the different information that he knew. We talked about they pronounce the word Joseph today, but I call him Yusuf. I think there's an English spelling for his name. Says that Phut founded what his Greek language content called Libya and a river bearing the name in the country of the Moors. So remember in the literature, when I was younger, I used to always say that, and it says that, that they say the Niger River is a river given, the name is given by Moors because it contained black water. And so I was able to connect that to Phut. So that's why I'm saying, when people don't realize the information that's in that 101 pamphlet either, because I was able to connect that river to us, and it was given the Niger River because it contained black water. The water was dead. It was dirty. It was no life living in it. Right. So that's why they call it the Niger River, or, the Negro with names change. And that's the same term. So if you're talking about something that had no life in it at the time, and it was called that by our ancient fathers and mothers, then why would we want to call ourselves that today? That means we have no life in us, right? I mean, it's a connection. So it's so much information that comes with us. But our first generation, Phut with Ham's family, and the second prophetic writings remember that Phut is an African people associated with Egypt and Cush. The third Joseph said Phut founded that Greek language called Libya and the river bearing the name. Egyptian records use more specific names of the people like Kemet, Tatujahu, Tatahi, Hibai, Ribu, and Meshwish. Those names should just be collapsed into one tribe. And then the fourth Strabo locations was the Mauri in northwest Africa, opposite Iberia. Now we know we're saying Africa today, but we know that the name of that land before Africa was Alkebulan. So we know that when we're saying modern Africa, and I do that because when people was getting lost on the show that I had, and I had to keep going in when they were asking, answering that's that show that I told you someone made a video about it. So we have ancient names. So we know Africa is a brand new name. We know America is a brand new name. We know all these territories have brand new names. But the reason why is they don't want you to trace yourself back. They don't want you to be able to connect with your ancient mothers and fathers at all. And I wanted to ask you, Mo, I know you probably have a Quran right there. If you could read the divine origin of the Asiatic nation from the Quran, connecting the Moors to that territory. Look, I even made a list on how to pronounce all the names right. And so I'm gonna make sure that you get it. So all of the ancient names, I made a breakdown of how to phonetically say the words phonetically, so that because some of these our brains aren't ancient as the language is. I wish it wasn't. I'm pretty good with enunciation, but I had to break them all down just so I could make sure I'm enunciating the words correctly.
Okay, what chapter did you want?
It's the divine origin. I think it's chapter 45.
Page 56. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
The divine origin of the Asiatic nations. The fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nations of North America need to learn to love instead of hate, and to know of their higher self and lower self. This is the uniting of the Holy Quran of Mecca for the teaching and instructing all Moorish Americans, etc. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca, the Egyptians, who were the Hamites, and of direct descendants of Mizraim, the Arabians, the seed of Hagar, Japanese and Chinese, the Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, Hittites, and Moabites from the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nations and countries in North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans, and Mexicans in North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America, Colombians, Nicaraguans, and native of San Salvador in Central America, etc. All of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam, by the command of the great universal God, Allah.
Islamism. And right there, just if you take that chapter 45, I did a whole lesson for our legacy class for our students on the divine origin of the Asiatic nation. And they just love to be able to see. I wrote a whole paper on that. Because if you take what the prophet said just in that and connect all of those people, there's very few Europeans here on earth in the very first place. So they're saying it now, but it's been that way. We just starting to recognize it, but it's been that way. We are just starting to recognize it. All right. So at this time, I'm going to go to the comment section where we can start looking at some comments from the people. Sheik, and you know, they might have some questions for you, questions for me. And what I'll do is I'll put the ones up on the screen and you can feel free to answer them as you like. All right.
Mhm.
All right. So we're going to go to the comments.
Can't see the screen.
Oh, you can't see the screen? Can you see me?
No.
You can't see me?
Uh-uh. Not the view of the camera the way we have it, the way we set it up. Uh-uh.
Oh, wow. You can't see me. Oh, my goodness.
You want me to turn the camera?
Right. So you can see me, so you can be able to see the comments.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
1 second.
All right.
All right, here we go.
And you're even closer now, too.
Hold up.
Can you see me now?
Absolutely.
And you're even
I see that smile.
yes, absolutely. And you're even closer now to that way with the camera. All right. All right. Let's see if we can go to some of these comments. All right. That was beautiful reading, Mo. Beautiful reading. All right. So we have a whole bunch of comments from Lee Bay, but I'm trying to see if we have. Let's see. All right, so someone says from Nong Kong, it says Sheik isn't the name, so I'm going to put that on the screen. It says Sheik isn't the name. Sheik isn't the name Thompson from the slave master, not trying to be. You want to answer that, Sheik? So I could answer yes. Thompson is a slave name, but I'll let the Sheik answer. Go ahead and answer that, Sheik.
I'm kind of not understanding this question. Was it just a comment or what is he?
Oh, you know what he's saying? He's not trying to be negative, but he's asking Thompson from the slave master. Yes, it is. He's asking.
Yes, that's.
The question is to you. It says to you.
Okay.
Sheik. It says Thompson isn't Thompson from the slave master. Not trying to.
Okay, I see it now.
Yes. Okay.
Well, that's why we have our annexation of ills or Bey, because we was taught not to throw our slave names away. But you are correct. But that annexation that we add on the end of that name changes it dramatically. So yes.
Yeah, and that's to some of us, depending on how you taught, because me, I don't do no slave nothing. So toss all that garbage out. The prophet said, return back to Rome what belongs to Rome, right? Give them all of that
Yes.
back. So, but yes, that was to you. He said to Sheik, so I wanted you to be able to answer that question. But yes, we don't run from the truth. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Lady Thorough is on the line. Lady Thorough, she'll be there too at the event. Islam, Lady Thorough. She's saying Islam, Lady Thorough. Islamism. We're so she'll be at the event on Saturday. Can't wait to see her. All right. All right. Let's see who else we got. Sheik. Let's see. Okay. All right. So more 74 is just sending the flags out to us. Okay. Here's it says greeting. More 74. Greetings of Islam. More is Islam, Mo. All right. Got you with that fez too. You got that fez hanging. Shouldn't be hanging. I have to do that lesson and teach that lesson. All right. Let's see. Go. All right. The infamous Marty Mar. Let me see what Marty Mar has to say. All right, ancient roots. The Latin Moorish likely derived from the ancient Greek word moros, meaning dark or black, used to describe the complexion or geographical location of the region's inhabitants. And so the thing is that a lot of people try to say every word means black or whatever. The thing is, an ancient word cannot make a modern term. And the word black didn't come amongst until the 1500s. So there's no way that Mauri meant black. Absolutely no way. So that's where, again, historically, you're missing timelines, Marty Mar, because the word black is a brand new English word. And it meant pale when it first came out. Okay. But I appreciate your comment. Okay. And someone says, I can see both on a split screen. Thank you, Mars 74. Yes, I'm just glad that he can see me now. I didn't know he couldn't see me the whole time I was talking to him. All right, let's see. Infamous Marty Mars said the weekend is the Moorish gathering at Water Park. Will he be there? That's the questions for you, Mo.
And what location is that?
The event on Saturday. He's asking, will you be there?
At Water Park? No, it's not at Water Park.
He's going to bring it up in just a few minutes with the advertising.
Oh, you talking about Reverend Waters? Yes, sir. Yeah, it's called, the official name is Wilbur H. Waters Park. That's why it threw me off. But yes, I will be at that ancient Forefathers Day. Yes, sir.
All right. This is from Sheik Bilal. He says, this time I'm grateful for the unity. Islam, Sheik Bilal.
Islam.
Too. Islam, Sheik. All right. I think that's it for comments right now. All right. At this time, I'm going to give the Sheik the floor where he is going to go over the information on the flyer. So he'll hold it up for you all. And he's going to go over the information on the event on Saturday. You have the floor, Mo.
Yes, thank you. Let me get another copy.
Yes.
So this Saturday, we are asking everyone to come out to participate. Just because we're sponsoring it, it's no big I's and little U's, none of that. The way we function, the way I function. So all are welcome.
Pick it up some more, like higher. There we go. Thank you.
All are welcome. It says the Moorish Ancient Forefathers Day celebration. Special invited guests, community vendors, Saturday, August 29th, 1 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Wilbur H. Waters Park, 1600 North Dukeland Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21216. Join us as the Moorish Science Temple of America 13 and Temple 13-2 sponsor this special celebration honoring our ancient forefathers, our rich heritage, community, unity, family, fellowship, and cultural pride. All are welcome. Special invited guests, community vendors, family fellowship, educational presentations, youth activity, and unity community culture. Come and be a part of this outstanding event. Peace and love.
Peace and love, yes. And Sheik Bilal had a comment. He said, the higher self brings in the best out of us. The more science is to awaken our minds to the truth. Absolutely, Sheik. Shukran for that comment. And the good thing about too is that I'll be out there live. You all will probably see me in something a little different. I'm going to have on some jeans and probably a jacket. I'll be out in the park. But I'm so excited about streaming out there and let you see the people out there and what's going to be going on out there. I'm so excited about this. I just love being around Moors, and I'm just so excited. And I would just ask all of you all that are coming out, if you are practicing more science or think you want to practice more science, to please come in your headdress so we can recognize you. Please be proud of who you are with your turbans on, feathers on. And for some brothers, the fez might be a little much. I don't know. You can wear a fez cap. Even some might wear kufi. But your fez is number one. It's your national headwear. And it should be treated with the utmost respect more. So come on out, because I will be there. We are all ready to get out there and just have a good time. I'm so excited about being there, and just getting out there amongst my brothers and sisters. So, and you said this is something that you all usually do every year. Have you all done it in the park year after year, or?
Yes. Yes, we alternate pucks. 1 year we'll do East Baltimore, 1 year we'll do West Baltimore, so we can try to reach the people. So last year we had it at Eager Park. The year before that, it was at the park that we're at this Saturday. But yes, this is something that we do the last Saturday of August every single year. Celebrate our ancient forefathers and foremothers.
And I'm so glad because I remember one time we used to do it at the Blacks and Wax Museum, you know, at one time when I was attending at the temple there on West 27th Street. We used to rent out the Blacks and Wax and do it there, you know. So it's good to see it's taken to the outside event now, you know, because it becomes more economical. But I do want to say also, please bring donations too, because the Moors are doing this out of their heart, out of their pockets. And we're coming out there and we should donate because the prophet said the whole purpose of this organization is for the uplifting of fallen humanity. And we can't uplift ourselves no more than trying to be economically secure. So even though the Sheik and his family and the National Grand Sheik Clarence Prince the Ill, his family, Sheik Thompson-Bey and his family and other Moors, Mother Betty, his wife, all of them are getting together out of their pockets to make this event take place. And the most we can do is also donate to the cause of uplifting fallen humanity. They're not asking you to bring food or drink or nothing unless you want to donate. I wouldn't say bring any food because, you know, different people cook differently, but you could probably bring donations like cups and napkins and things like that to help out, you know, paper bags and things like that for food, you know. So, you know, donate something. Just don't come empty handed, right? Come with something. And if you can't bring paper bags and, you know, plastic wrap and spoons and forks or something like that, then bring a small donation. You know, I'm sure the Sheik and his family would appreciate that because listen, these events are not cheap. I know even when I'm on these programs, it's not cheap. I have to pay for this podcast every single month. I pay a monthly fee for this. And so when we're trying to reach the mass of the people, it does cost. Okay. The prophet said a beggar of people can never obtain the highest in them. So we're not begging. We're asking you to feel from your heart to give back because I know this brother, every year they doing this. I know it's coming out of his pocket. He's running a restaurant. He's running a daycare. He's running business with the assistance of his wife or together with his wife or unity with his wife. And so they're taking things out of their pocket to make sure that the masses have. And I know some Asians will come and just eat up the food and talk trash, you know, but there's no alcohol there, no spirits there that's going to be negative to you. So come to a good cause and give. You know, that's what we need to do. Uplift fallen humanity. And Sheik, if they want to donate before the event too, where could they send donations to?
Let me get it for you.
All right.
The Zelle is right here if they want to donate to the temple.
All right, good. Kahim Carter Bay. Okay. Right there. Okay, good. Yeah, hold it up a little bit longer, Mo. Hold it up a little bit longer so we'll be able to take a snapshot of that. That cute.
And I'm also
right in the middle, right? Come back this way towards the flag. Put a little bit more in the middle and held it all the way up. There we go. All right, Mo. Yes, absolutely. So you can donate there. So please donate, Mo. Please donate. Islam Mo, shukran for that. Yes, please donate. All right. All right, shukran. All right, Mo, you can take it down now. People should be able to get that. Please send donations. All right. All right. So, yes, so we have Sheik Joel Britton Bay from Temple 13, Truth. All right. We have, let's see, we got Marty Marr. Asked him, he familiar with Tahakar Bey? I think everyone's familiar with Tahakar Bey. I don't think there's no one that doesn't know him.
Yes.
Yes, we're familiar with him. Okay. I'm familiar with him. I just saw him at an event. It was, matter of fact, it was a year ago now. I saw him at the Marcus Garvey event when my daughter was shooting her video last August. Grand Sheik Joel Bretton Bay should get invitation to demonstrate. So Grand Sheik Joel Britton Bey should get invitation to demonstrate. Are you saying you want an invitation to demonstrate? Joel Britton Bey. Okay, he said he should get an invitation.
Is that the Grand Sheik Bratton Bey, or that's someone speaking on behalf of him?
Well, that's Britton Bey. I don't know. Bratton is Bratto, and I know Bratton Bey. I don't know. I don't think that's.
Oh, you say Britton Bey? Okay.
Yes. All right, Islam and truth. All right, Shukran Morris. So we're going to go back to our programming. And so if anyone, we'll go back to you all again in the chat to see if you all have any more information for us. So as we're talking about our ancient forefathers day, and we're talking about celebrating, we're talking about the important thing that's going all the way back to Phut. And we're talking about Phut, we're talking about Noah, we're talking about Ham, we're talking about Shem, we're talking about where the Shemites come from. We're talking about all those people. And so, but more than up to modern day time, we're talking about Prophet Noah Durriyyah founder, Prophet Noah Durriyyah reincarnated. You all are probably going to be honoring Timothy Dingle-Il, right? Richardson Dingle-Il, Timothy Richardson, German Bey, I'm not sure, German Bey, and a few other more. So tell us some of the ancient forefathers' names that are on the list for honor, Mo, for the event.
Well, we don't have just a tied down list for honor, but of course we honor the Holy Prophet Noble Durriyyah, the reincarnated Prophet John Gibbons-Il, Emiliel, all Moors, Richardson Dingle-Il, Timothy Dingle-Il, all Moors that are due honor. The prophet say to withhold honor is both mean and unjust.
Yes.
I don't believe in not giving someone honor just because we don't have the same ideology or because we don't sit at the same house. That doesn't mean that you're not doing some good work. The prophet say the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah. Oh. And he appointed everyone their portion which seemeth good unto them. Yes, so I don't withhold anyone honor. When I come to the altar and I demonstrate, I say I give honor to everyone that is doing any type of aiding and assisting the prophet and his gigantic mission of uplifting fallen humanity. Islam,
and that's just an honor because I have so many, ancient forefathers that I can honor and foremothers. Coming from the house that I was at, I'll always give much honor to the brothers that came. I don't know if you went on Elisha O'Neal, if you went on that trip with us when we went to Camden, New Jersey, but I will always honor Elisha O'Neal because I'm just telling you, masterminds can trace themselves. He just was always in my heart. He will always be so dear to my heart. He helped me in so many ways in comprehension because I was, a lot of times coming from one house to another, people mistreated you. And I came from another house in Philadelphia and, my nationality card didn't look exactly the same as their nationality card. And, they wanted to treat me differently. But, and at the time I had degrees that they didn't think I should have. So, and he was like, you just have to calm down, stay calm and just let that pass. He just was so gentle with everything, helping me get through a lot of rough times. Being a young sister in the movement, I didn't realize how much work I had to do, but my uncle did prepare the way. He prepared me. And so that's the thing. So I have my uncle Ike. I love him to life, to honor, ancient forefathers. Brother Hamid Anderson Eel, who had sent for me. And I went to, when he called for me, I went to see what he desired to have. And I had just recently had my youngest child. And I said, well, tell them, Mo, I'm breastfeeding. He's like, well, you can breastfeed on the road. He was like, we need you here. You can breastfeed on the road. And so, it was just those type of things, those honors of the people that I met. I'm sure a lot of them probably have passed, but a lot of them are probably still here. And so we have to continuously honor, I think it was Carter Woodson that might have said that when one forget about their past, forget about their past and they don't move forward with their past, they are deemed to repeat it over and over again. And so we don't want to continue to the path of negativity. We want to honor the legacy that we had before we were taken into slavery. And that is what people don't want us to remember. They don't want you to remember how powerful you were. That at one time it was only Asiatics on earth. The other new man, as you know, what's his name? Curtis Mayfield says in his song, he talked about the new man when they came along. It's not like people don't know who they are or their legacy. We know. We just try to honor everyone because we're the creations of mothers and fathers of everyone. We are the reason that everyone on this earth exists. And that's the hatred that they have for us because we are the blueprint. And so they try to deny us. We are the gods and goddesses of the earth. We are truly those people. And so we have to honor that. And we honor ourselves by, keeping those ancient forefathers alive. It's important. I know a brother called me when I did this thing on Phut. He said, "Sister, I never heard about Phut. Do you have a book on information?" I said, "Yes." I sent him the first book I had information about, about the Moors on Phut, because he was like, "Wow, I didn't even know who he was, didn't even exist." And he said, "Well, can I find him in my, records and things like that?" And I told him the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest Bible there is, and the more authentic Bible, but you can get a septic in it also as well. But I tried to reach him. I said, "But you can get books older than that because I don't do the Bible." I said, "You can go to the ancient papers, the old ancient Canaanite and Hittite papers is where the Bible was copied from." See, they'll make you think that Bible is a record that's our history records is all twisted around, and that's where our history also is stagnant to begin, because they took out, remember, King James put in and took out what he wanted. Remember back then he didn't like the Pope. The Pope wouldn't do what he wanted. So he got scribes to write his own version of the Bible. See, people want to believe what others say, right? But the prophet let us know, but thus they never know. If you must be yourself, you must be what you know. And so for me, I take that literally. So if I want to talk about my legacy to someone, I'm going to be able to take you far back until ancient times, until modern day times, to be able to let you see who we are and the power that we have. We were royalty at that time. We lived that good life, which was considered good life back then. The Europeans, when they came along, they wanted what we had. And so now they took what they have and they don't want to give it back to us. So therefore, they try to keep us destitute. So all the fiat that we spend amongst ourselves, to Europeans, do you believe, Mo, that if we just decide to take our fiat to ourselves, to put it together, but we talk about a unity for ourselves, because you and your wife have done so much work putting your fiat together. Can you imagine or even talk to us about what it would look like for us and how much honor it would be to our ancient fathers and mothers if we could just rebuild those societies for ourselves?
I think it would be amazing. That's a part of everything that I'm doing. To take small steps. Even in this lifetime, if I don't see everything out, once you plant a seed, there's no way the seed don't grow unless somebody kill that seed. So what I'm doing is trying to plant seeds. I'm trying to show the youth the things that they think is impossible. I never forget when a young brother came and he was about 10 years old and he seen the name Moorish on a restaurant. And he said, "Mommy, Daddy, look, that says Moorish." That did so much to my heart, more than any dollar that could make from there. So I'm in the process of trying to take small steps, looking for whole blocks that may be vacant, that may have been condemned, small acres of land, and trying to get the Moors to come together to purchase and build on it and, have our own. We believe that it's racist to have our own, but every other community does it. I put out a plea about 2 years ago now. I don't gamble, I don't do none of that stuff, but I put out, it was rather a joke, but I wanted to prove a point. I said, I guarantee you nobody in this temple have ever seen a so-called Asian using any of our gas stations or going to any of our stores and spending their dollar. It's been 2 years and nobody have came back yet and said they have seen it. I say they keep all their own dollar in their community. They don't even pump gas in our community. They don't even want that gas money. They wait till they get to their outskirts where they live at, Chinatown, our elegant city, and you will see them out there shopping in masses, going to the gas station in masses, having their own communities and own schools. But when we do it, you know, we're letting them brainwash us to think that we being racist and, you know, we think we better than somebody, but all the other cultures are doing it. You've been down here in Baltimore, Queen, Jewtown. They don't spend their dollar outside of Jewtown. They got their own schools, their own stores, their own community centers, etc. They don't even leave from there. But for some reason, we can't come together and demonstrate group economics and keep our dollars in our community and keep recycling. You know, because I pay attention to everything you said. You said earlier that we should be able to take care of our own. We should be our own banks, have our own Moorish commerce when Moors are trying to start businesses and they keep getting rejected from the same banks that they keep their money in. We should be able to take care and govern ourselves, but for some reason we don't trust each other enough. You know, but we'll put that money in the bank and don't know when they might say that this bank is shutting down, it's over, but we won't trust you with $5 like you going somewhere with $5. You know, so it's still mental. You know, so all I'm doing, me and my wife, is planting seeds, Mobite. Planting seeds and trying to show them the possibilities that what we can do if we put our mind to it as a Moorish nation. Islam?
Islam. And those seeds definitely will grow economically, Mo. And you know, you just put a big smile on my face because I've been talking about this so long about economic security. And an amazing thing is, I don't know if you ever seen that letter, but it's a Thank You American letter. And I did it last week with the Willie Lynch address. And I'll send you a copy of that letter where someone wrote this letter about thank you for buying our Calvin Kleins and Nike sneakers and all of that and not trusting your own people in your own community. And our people get so angry when we talk about that. But it's the absolute truth. You know, you see all these stars, and I don't have no problem naming their names, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all of these people with all this big fiat, but they won't spend that fiat in the Asiatic community. So my question is why? And I have my own thoughts on that, but my question is why? Why won't you give back to your own Asiatic community? You'll go somewhere over in Africa, South Africa, or over there, which those are our brothers and sisters, but we live right here in the United States. Why won't you uplift the community here? You know they have enough fiat to cure hunger overnight, but they won't do it in our communities. I talk about the school. You would think our school would be overflowing with Moors, but it's not. You would think that the donations would pour in, that we would come to our own communities, our own stores, but it's not. But we will give to that. And let me just tell you, I went to, like you were saying, the Asian store over the weekend. I was looking for something over the weekend for the Asian store, and Sheik we wanted to look for something, and we was trying to see if they had it in the store. So I was like, let's go down to where they built that great big new beauty mart down there in Baltimore. You probably know which one I'm talking about. It's a really big one down there in Baltimore. They closed down a small one. It's huge in there. And what they have is like standing right at the front door. They had this, you know, I don't know if they're Korean. I'm not sure their nationality because some of them all look the same, sort of. But he's standing there with his gray hair like he, you know, the muff teeth. And inside that store, it was so many Asiatics in that store. And I was telling Sheik, and I said, listen, this place is packed with our people. But none of them live in our communities. Like you said, El-Malik El-Shabazz said it in the Ballot and the Bullet back in the 1960s. When they go to those communities and turn those lights off, they go to those European communities where they live at. Or like you said, their own territories. That's where they go. They don't bring any fiat back into our communities at all. We spend so much fiat in those beauty stores. And even after that, even after the murder of that young man, where they were calling themselves banning the Asian stores or whatever, even after his murder, and Asiatics was like, don't go to those stores, go to the Asiatics who own these stores or that stores. And they really didn't give us the addresses of those stores. Those and that Korean, I think it was Korean, challenged us not to shop at their stores. because they have what we need. They have our hair products because they sell more hair. These stores sell so much wave hair, all that hair and weave and wigs and all of that. And we study buying it because we not happy. We want the Barbie doll syndrome. We all want to look like the Barbie doll. We want to look like our natural hair. You know, our men reject us, so we want to look like somebody else. And we got hair that ain't even ours, just swinging it everywhere, about to break your neck. I mean, this is the things we do, and we look ridiculous, and all they doing is smiling and taking your fiat. They smiling and taking your fiat. And when they leave and close those lights at the end of the night, they're not coming to your neighborhoods. They're not helping you feed your children. You're not educating their children, but those people are rich. I watched them close that one store, and I'm talking about, I think it's called Beauty Mar or Beauty something. It's huge down there in Baltimore. It's right across from that IHOP in Baltimore. You might know.
What you're talking about.
Yes, that place was so packed. I'm telling you, you could barely get through the store. It was who was shopping in there? Asiatics. I didn't see no Europeans. I didn't see none of their own people. I saw Asiatics. And now they hire some of us because their English is not that perfected. So they hire some of the overseers to look over us and make sure we're not stealing something and to ring things up. So we have to think about those things. Why are they selling our products that we need for our hair in our communities and they don't even look like us? And I'm telling you, this Malik El-Shabazz talked about it in the 1960s in the Ballot or the Bullet. It's the same syndrome over and over again. But why won't you buy from an Asiatic store? Asiatics can't keep their doors open because we do not support. And I just have to keep it real. It's so many people who could afford to open up those stores in our community. Even if you felt like your fiat should, be spent better, like you don't want to just donate or whatever, you can open up those type stores and call economics in our communities. You can open up businesses to create economic security in our, so you don't have to just give fiat away. If you want to say, well, I don't want to just give my fiat away, create economic security. You can make it where we can work in those places. We can educate ourselves to change our very way of thinking. The prophet said in the language to improve what? Thy society. That's what we're supposed to do. Mo, that's why I'm so proud of you. I talked to the Grand Sheik about, I'm so proud of you and the work that you and your wife is doing. I was so excited to see your store, so excited to see your daycare, so excited to see the temple, because you an economic Mo. You the ones that's doing what the prophet says. He said there's nothing more needed amongst our people than what? Than greater economic power. Because a beggar people can never obtain the highest in them, nor can they enjoy the generosities of life because we don't have anything. So what causes crime in communities is not having. It's by necessity. It's not having. People don't break into your house and stuff like that and steal because they feel like that they just want to. A lot of times they feel compelled to take from those who have because they do not have. So how do you create better economics in your own community? Is building your own community. Put those brothers that's on the corner to work so they can stop getting locked up. Talk to the sisters about getting pregnant and just having baby after baby, because in the Holy Quran, Universal Quran talks about the soulless child. These children are born with no soul because they're not born out of love. They're born out of lust. And so there's no love in our communities for each other. We don't love each other enough. And the prophet told us to love yourself. He said, love yourself and don't be somebody else. Learn to love you. And the principles that he gave us to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Love all the time. Be peaceful. We can have freedom that way, and truth and justice. All those things come into line with that. But we have to learn to do that. We have to start trusting one another. We're so busy stabbing each other in the back instead of helping if one has. And so instead of me saying, oh, this Mo got a restaurant and I'm just going to build one, can I go to the Mo and say, look, Mo, you already got a restaurant. How can I help contribute to make this business thriving? So then we can open a second BMO Bites and a third BMO Bites. But don't go next door down the street from me and open up the Rib Shack. when you know I'm right there? Help me build what I have so that we can build another one. This is economics, but we don't, like you said, we have no trust. And this is all European psychology, Mo. This is all that gatekeeper mentality. And we need to shake that off. The prophet said, what? Loose that man and let him go. I never forget in a temple with the older Mo's, they used to sing that, the older sisters and brothers. Loose that man and let him go. Say, whoa, loose that man and let. They be singing it. And I took that to heart, Mo. Get off of that train with that, Mo, because listen, assimilation is not the way. You're never going to be them. They're never going to let you have as much as they have. As much as Beyonce and Jay-Z have, there's got rockers that have triple what they have. They're never going to allow you to have what they have. So build amongst yourselves. And then we'll have greater economic power. And we will be having a different conversation about our people. We'll have less deaths that talk about the black on black crime and all that stuff. What about Europeans on European crime? They got crime too, but you never hear that. What about the, what they call the Puerto Ricans and all that crime? The only crime you hear, the only people they trying to keep down is us. So we got the highest crime rate. They keep building the prisons for us and all that and keep us under the 13th Amendment with the 20 sections in slavery. They doing all these things because we don't think for ourselves. We're not building economic wealth for ourselves. We're not doing the things necessary that we need to do for ourselves. All right. And so it's really, really important that we continue to work through ourselves. And through that, we can work each other. All right. So I'm going to start. I know that we're about to wind the show down. We have like maybe 7 minutes left. So Mo, I'm going to ask you if you have any closing remarks for the people that are out there listening today to us and information, and, hold up the sign one more time and anything else. I just want to take this one comment real quickly. It says, our people will do it when it's too late. Well, it's already too late. We need to do it now. All right, Islam, Mo. Shukran for that. All right, Mo. So go ahead. Any closing remarks you'd like to?
Just want to give honor to you for the work that you're doing. I want to give honor to your producer for having your back, making sure everything going smoothly. I want to give honor also for all the endeavors that you're doing. And the same way that you encourage people to donate to ancient forefathers, I'm encouraging them to donate to your work or what you're doing, your school. Help to keep this podcast on, because a lot of people say, I'm getting off social media because it is nothing but negativity. Well, what's going to offset that negativity? Positivity.
Absolutely.
So, you have a platform that's positive, and I'm imploring everyone to support. Donate. I know you said you had one views that was 27,000.
Yes.
And you was being modest. You said if everybody just donated $1, which we know most of us that's viewing can afford $1. We don't buy that Snicker, don't buy that bag of chips. Now I'm gonna go even a little less and say, okay, maybe, because they didn't know who you were. Even if they donated 50 cents from that 27,000,
yes,
you would have still had 13.5.
Yeah.
To help your school, to help your podcast. When you're dealing with numbers and groups, every little dollar, every little nickel, every little quarter matters. Even if you have got a quarter of that, it would have been enough to help what you're doing. So I'm imploring, everyone to donate, to support. Don't get caught up on the actual messenger. Get caught up on a message. We're so caught up on not wanting to hear what somebody got to say because of the person that's delivering it, and sometimes you're missing your blessing. I thank Allah that He keeps me teachable. That I haven't got puffed up in my own piety, because according to our holy record, the prophet said that human knowledge is but blindness and folly. And I thank Allah that I stay teachable. With that, I say Islam and peace.
Yes, Mo. And I say you're humble. You're as humble as the day that I first met you. And you stay humble. And because of your humility, keeps you moving forward. I'm going to ask you to hold up that sign one more time about the Ancient Forefathers Day. Moors, Listen, I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be having a good time, and we'll be out there. Real Morris Talk is supporting it 100%. So please, if you can, come out and support. Come out and support. It is really important to come out and support this Ancient Forefathers Day. And bring some fiat, bring some paper towels, bring some napkins, bring some cups, some spoons, something. Don't bring no food. We don't want you to bring food because we know people have different spirits unless you bring closed chips and pretzels, things that are closed. But we're not asking you to prepare any food, but we're asking you to donate in different ways. And if you just can come, and as many people can come and bring $2 and donate. All right, support the Sheik and the Grand Sheik. Islamism. Also, the book information about the Moorish book 2. My producer said keep pushing it out there. This is our second portion, edition 2. We have edition 1 and 2. This takes you all the way back to our father Phut and his wife. All right, so come on and join that. We also
are you gonna bring books out for sale for Saturday?
Yes, Grand Sheik asked me to please put books out. Yes, absolutely, and bookmarkers. And bookmarkers. Yes. Also, 2 prophets in 1 era time. A lot of you Moors, I see a lot of sheiks ordering this book and ministers. I'm so grateful that you don't mind learning from me, So it's grateful. And listen, give me feedback on these books when you do purchase them. Give me feedback on what you think. If you have more information, because I'm one that studies all the time. I've been studying ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, as my uncle used to tell me. So if you have more information to share, then share it with us. We're going to pull back up here that we're talking about. I want to keep the Sheik online. So let me just see if it took you off for a minute when I brought that tab up. See if I can bring you back on the line. There we go. Add you back to the stage. There you are. So I want to also tell you all to listen, to donate $ to online schooling for Moorish children. All right. So please donate to that online schooling for Moorish children, MC. That is our Cash App. Okay. We also have Rally Up, our school fundraiser. Our fundraiser, we're trying to raise $100,000. We want to bring more instructors. We're looking to go into one of the sisters wants us to open up in Panama. We want to also be able to open up in Canada. And so we need that fiat because we have to pay instructors. We have to have instructors. Listen, the servant is worthy to hire. We can't ask instructors just work for nothing to erudite your children. You need to be able to pay those instructors. All right. So please do that. Also, I also want to bring up the donate button. You go to More Signs with GSCast3Bay.com and donate. Or if you feel like I got to have something for my fiat Prime Minister, look, and I need some money for something to show for my fiat, then go to books, circle7publishing.com and purchase books. And listen, don't be one of those Moors. We've had people who purchase books, order them, get your order, and then cancel the order saying that you never received your purchase when we have proof that you did. And so because of that, we're coming after you. So stop being a thief. A servant is worthy. You got the material, then you should not be trying to cheat out of a couple of dollars. You should not cheat. Go to circle7publishing.com and our humanitarian organization, Daughters of Drew Ali. Okay. Well, I'm just so excited to have, the Sheik here with me today. And so hopefully it doesn't kick you off the stage again. Let's see if it does. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't. I'll get it to the point where it doesn't kick you off the stage. All right, that's our Rally Up program. It kicked both of us off the stage. The Rally Up program. Also, that's because we go to Rally Up. And Rally Up is where we actually have it where you can go to Rally Up. And at Rally Up, you're able to go ahead and donate there. For some people who need to see their fiat, so they want to see what we're donating to, and it tells you everything about Rally Up. Okay, so we want to make sure that we do that. All right, I just want to thank the Sheik for coming out today, and we did miss the Grand Sheik Prait the Ill. He was supposed to come on today, but he had an emergency, but we love him to life. We've had him on the show before, and you all listen, Mo, you're all are always welcome to come back anytime you're doing anything or just want to come on the show. You're more than welcome because we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves and each other. So anytime you feel like you want to come on the program and talk about anything or any important news matters or anything you have, you are more than welcome to do so. All right?
All right.
Yes, Mo. Thank you. You're so handsome today. You just looking like a Mo. I just love it. I just love when we on camera looking like ourselves. I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for coming out. All right. You've been on Real Morse Talk Shadow Hour. I'm your host, is Prime Minister National Grand Sheik Durriyyah Bey, and today our guest was Grand Sheik Eric Thompson-Bey. All right. Give your wife my greetings. All right, Mo. Until next time, more is on Real Morse Talk next week. Take care of yourselves and each other.